You never really notice the moment trust dies, not until the silence between you grows loud enough to hear your own heartbeat echoing in it. My name is Michael Jones. I'm 42 years old, a construction company owner, and for 8 years I believed I had the perfect life. A loving wife, a beautiful son, a thriving business, and a home that echoed with laughter. I built everything I had with my own 2 hands, brick by brick, deal by deal. I worked long hours and came home smelling of sawdust and sweat, but Juliana would always be there. Soft smile, warm dinner, gentle kiss on the cheek. At least, she used to be. It started small, a shift in rhythm. She used to text me during the day, "How's the site?" or "Don't forget to eat." Then the messages stopped. When I'd call, she'd sound distracted, like her mind was somewhere else. She said she'd been busy with new projects, that Richard, my business partner, had asked her to handle some paperwork. I didn't think much of it. Richard and I had been friends for over 10 years. He was the best man at our wedding, my right-hand man in the company. I trusted him with my business. I trusted her with my life. Then one night, I found it, a receipt, folded neatly between the car seat and console, a boutique motel about 40 minutes outside town. The date was last Thursday, the same night she said she had dinner with a friend. 2 drinks were listed, 2 old fashions. Juliana doesn't drink bourbon. She never has. I stared at that slip of paper for a long time. My chest didn't tighten, my hands didn't shake. Instead, a strange calm settled over me, the kind that comes when the truth begins to whisper through denial. I didn't confront her, not yet. I've learned that in construction, when you suspect the foundation's cracking, you don't tear the whole building down immediately. You study the fault lines first. Over the next week, I started noticing patterns. New perfume, late nights, sudden meetings. Her phone always face down now. Screen never visible. She laughed less, talked less. Her eyes avoided mine. That's when I called Mark, an old friend who worked private security. He owed me a favor. I told him what I needed. Quiet observation, no drama, just facts. Within days, he had them. Photographs, dates, timestamps, Juliana and Richard, same motel, same routine. The man I trusted with my business was sleeping with my wife. When Mark handed me the file, I remember he hesitated. "You sure you want to see these?" I nodded. Then I flipped through each photo one by one. Each image was like a nail hammered into the coffin of the life I thought I had. But still, I didn't explode. Because when you build things for a living, you understand something. Destruction is easiest when you plan it right. I started digging deeper. Bank statements, company accounts, project payments, and there it was. Small transfers to a subcontractor that didn't exist. Money leaking out in quiet, predictable intervals. Richard had been embezzling from our company, using Juliana's access to cover his tracks. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was professional, financial, systemic. They weren't just cheating on me, they were stealing from me. That's when love turned into resolve. Not rage, not heartbreak, just an iron-cold clarity. I met with my lawyer the next morning. We reviewed the prenup, everything I built before marriage, the company, the house, the investments was mine. Juliana would get nothing if she was proven unfaithful. Nothing. For the next few weeks I pretended, I smiled, I kissed her goodnight. I even invited Richard over for dinner one evening, watching him hold my son, calling him champ, while I knew what he'd done was the hardest performance of my life. But I played the part, because I wanted them both comfortable, predictable. Meanwhile, I gathered every piece of evidence, photos, bank logs, signed transactions, motel footage. Then one night, Juliana's sister called me, crying. She said Juliana was planning to file for divorce, claiming I was emotionally unavailable. Apparently, Juliana thought she could take half of everything, maybe even full custody of Ethan. Her sister hesitated before whispering the final blow. "She's pregnant, Michael, but she doesn't know who the father is." That was it. The moment the switch flipped, it was no longer about heartbreak, it was about closure. Friday night came like any other. Juliana told me she was meeting a client after work. I kissed her forehead, told her to drive safe, and watched her taillights disappear down the street. Then I followed. Mark had already tracked their usual motel. I parked a few lots away, headlights off. Juliana's car pulled in. Then Richard's truck. I waited 30 minutes, long enough to make sure they were comfortable. Then I made a call. A tow truck, the one I'd quietly arranged earlier that day, rolled in and hauled her car away. I walked to the motel door. The front desk clerk recognized me from an earlier visit. I'd rented the room next to theirs, just for this moment. I opened the door quietly. The sound of surprise is universal. Richard froze. Juliana gasped, her face draining of color. I didn't yell, didn't move fast, just placed a brown envelope on the nightstand. Inside, I said evenly, are divorce papers, proof of your affair, and evidence of the embezzlement. Richard stammered. Mike, listen, don't, I cut him off. You talk, you lie. I'm done hearing lies. Juliana whispered my name like a prayer she no longer believed in. I turned to her. You built your little escape on my foundation, Juliana, and tonight, it collapses. Then I walked out. When she left the motel, I sat in my truck a few blocks away, watching through the rain-streaked windshield. An hour later, the motel door opened. Juliana stepped out, jacket clutched around her, face pale under the dim parking lot lights. She walked to the spot where her car should have been. When she realized it was gone, she froze. Then her phone came out, shaking in her hand. She called. Once, twice, over and over. I didn't answer. She stood there for a long moment, drenched, trembling, eyes darting helplessly in every direction. Then she finally called a cab and disappeared into the night. She got home to find something worse. By the time she reached home, it was past midnight. I had already finished everything. The house was spotless, stripped of warmth, of us. Her closet emptied, clothes folded neatly into boxes by the front door. And on the dining table, under the soft light of a single lamp, I'd arranged the evidence. Photographs, receipts, printouts of her text messages, hotel bills with her signature. Front and center sat one framed photo, our wedding picture, now cracked across the middle. Next to it, a short letter in my handwriting. Juliana, you lied. You stole. You destroyed. I'm not here to shout or curse. I'm just here to end this quietly. Everything you touched has been removed from your name. The car you drove? Gone. The accounts you used? Frozen. The house, it's mine again. The company, mine alone. You wanted a new life. You just got it. Without me. Michael, she stood there for minutes, staring at the table, hands trembling over the photographs. Then she sank to the floor, sobbing quietly. I watched from my truck parked across the street. Through the front window, I saw her shoulders shake, her hair falling across her face, her world collapsing in silence. I didn't feel joy, just finality. Aftermath. The next morning, I moved Ethan's things to my sister's place. I told him Mommy was going on a long trip. He didn't ask questions. Children have a way of sensing truth without words. Richard signed over his shares to avoid prison. Juliana never fought the divorce. Within weeks, Jones Construction was mine again. Clean, quiet, and peaceful. Sometimes people tell me I should have given her a second chance, that everyone makes mistakes. But betrayal isn't a mistake, it's a choice. And once someone chooses against you, they've already told you who they are. Now when people ask what happened, I just say, she left the motel to find her car gone. She got home to find something worse. Her lies laid bare, her comfort gone, her life dismantled piece by piece. And I don't say it with anger. I say it with peace. Because sometimes revenge isn't about making them suffer. It's about showing them what life looks like without your loyalty. The one thing they took for granted until it was gone. I built my world once before. I can build it again. But this time, I'll make sure the foundation is stronger, and the walls are high enough to keep the snakes out.